Today I'm going to take my first cruise in about 15 years. I'm going to be on Margarita at sea. The ship is called Paradise. Well, one of the first places this is leading us to is the Port of Indecision for food, and I am hungry. And of course it's really busy right now because everybody's getting on the ship and there's really not a lot to do other than eat. All right, so it's just a traditional buffet. And then they have Frankie and Lola's pizza. And here we have some hot dogs and fixins for the hot dogs. And we can get coffee, juice, or water. And they have ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream. My first meal on board is going to be a cheeseburger in Paradise. And I haven't had a cheeseburger in ages. And clearly they have music here at some point. And look at all those boats. What a nice view. Here is the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, and it's right next to Cheeseburger in Paradise. All right, I got a free margarita for dancing. So far we're having a great time, just getting ready to cast off. Is Margaritaville the worst cruise line like a lot of people say online? Well, the Paradise is a really small ship, and it's an older ship. It's more than 30 years old, I believe. But it's been very well renovated. It's kept really, really clean. You can see signs of age like cracked tiles, but overall I think they've done a really nice job of it. So the ship itself, as long as you don't object to a small ship, is just fine. I saw no problem with it. The show was good. Now, it wasn't a big extravagant show that you see on some of the other ships. It wasn't even a variety show. They pretty much just had their group of singers and dancers, but they put on a fun show. I'm going to get back to the show in just a little bit because I think there is a caveat that Margaritaville Cruise Line has to be careful of. The rooms were fine. Matter of fact, I thought the rooms were really, really nice. I loved having the porthole. For me, that was a $1 upgrade. I don't know if it's going to be that all the time, but I'm sitting right next to that porthole now. I love having the natural light, and I really liked my room. My stateroom's been very well updated. This looks to be a twin-size bed. There's a writing table over here and another table off to the side. I'll tell you about the backpack in a minute. We have a couple of chairs and a table. This appears to be pretty typical of a Paradise stateroom. This is a deck 4 outside stateroom, which means I have a porthole window, which will be great once we're out on the water. I think the artwork adds to creating a welcoming cruise atmosphere. The bathroom has a nice full mirror. It's a reasonable size, there's plenty of counter space. There's a full-size mirror as well. And of course a toilet. The shower is tight but functional. I don't care for the pump bottles, but that's what everyone's going to these days. The shelves appear to be clean. They do provide a small bar of hand soap by the sink, along with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Pretty good drawer space considering. So, I don't know how many hangers they have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like it's going to be quite a few hangers. I think I have a robe over here. Oh, a couple of robes. This cabinet has shelves where you'll find life vests, and beneath are 4 more drawers and a hairdryer. I won't be needing it. There's 220 service here, as well as a USB outlet for your phone. But don't worry, there's also American 110. I only found one outlet, other than way down here under the cabinet. Not very handy. Now, you have to understand, however, when they say $29 a night or however they advertise it. Really, you have to expect a little more than that. I paid a total of, I think, $260, $270 for my cruise. It was $260 base price. Now that's because I had single occupancy, and they usually will price those out at double occupancy. When they give that $29 or whatever their special is, you have to multiply that by the nights, and then they have taxes and port fees and all the rest. So in my case, for, I don't know what you would call this, a 2-day cruise, it was $270 or $370. $260, and then for whatever reason they tacked on $40 service charge. I really don't know what that is. Is that tips, or I don't know what it is. If it's tips, I don't understand that, because you may not have even eaten in the restaurants, and they really don't do much in the staterooms. You know, they had to make the bed once. They don't have a turn down service. And what else do we see here? A fuel supplement of $30. So that's an additional $70, those two items that I don't really know about. So make sure when you're booking that you find out exactly what all the fees are going to be. Now, I only bought one extra additional thing on the cruise. I bought that hydration package, which was 6 bottles of water in what was essentially a backpack, a cooler. And what you get is 6 bottles of water. And they call this a cooler, but it's really a backpack, but it's an insulated backpack, but it's pretty nice. Wow, I think I could have come on board with this. It's almost the size of my bag. Well, not quite, but pretty close. It's $4.95 if you want to buy a bottle of water. That's a little bigger though. It's a bigger bottle of water than this. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't do that. I ended up not taking them on shore with me anyway. But that was my choice. Now, I think their business model is sell the cruise itself cheap, and then they upgrade. They try to get you for everything. A lot of cruises, at least from what I understand, it's been a long time since I cruised, if you wanted to have a second main course, go ahead and have it. Here, if you're eating in Finn's restaurant and you wanted that second course, it would have been $7. They didn't have beverages other than soda and water. So there you're paying more money. It's nickel and diming throughout the whole cruise. So just be aware of that. If you're okay with that, I didn't spend a lot of extra money, and it's no big deal. Should you buy the drink packages? Maybe. The soda, I think, is only $10 a day. So if you're a soda drinker, that'd probably be worth it. As far as liquor, you're probably going to spend, I would guess, about, let's say an average of about $15 a cocktail, anywhere from $12 to $18 I saw cocktails going for here on the ship. So you can figure out whether or not you think that drink package is going to be for you. Even when I went into Finn's, if you wanted to get a different meal, they would charge you for it, similar to if you were in the JWB restaurant and the wines and that kind of thing. As far as the food, I think it was disappointing. The breakfast, for example, was about a step up from what you get for free at a Hampton Inn hotel. I just didn't think it was great. Cheeseburger in Paradise, it's a cheeseburger. There was nothing really special about it. I just didn't see anything that would make you say, let's book this, because I've always heard that on cruises, people eat a lot, and the food was kind of a disappointment. It wasn't bad, but there was nothing great about it, especially at Finn's. That shrimp, 3 tiny little pieces of shrimp, they had it on a bed of grits, and that grits was pasty and thick. I think it was the same food that you got at the buffet, only they served it on a plate and brought it to you. So I was kind of disappointed in the Finn's restaurant. I would say just go to the buffet and pick out what you want. At Finn's, you got one of everything. You got 1 appetizer, what they sold as appetizers, 1 main course, and 1 dessert. And the dessert was really disappointing. I had the key lime cake, they called it. They called it a mousse. It wasn't really a mousse. It was more of a meringue, and it was over that cake, and that cake was just saturated. It was wet. It was not good at all. I took 1 little bite and I didn't finish it. So I would say, out of all of the things of this cruise, the food was the most disappointing of all. I also got this piece of very undercooked chicken from the buffet. Now, you have to make up your own mind. For the price, is that worth it? That's up to you. If you've never been to Nassau and you just want to explore that for a stop, it's a very common cruise ship port. Go ahead. I'm not going to say that there's no value to this because it is a nice ship. And if you want to enjoy a short cruise, this might be a good idea. Now, here's a caveat. I think that Margaritaville has to be really, really careful on how they're selling this and what they're trying to do during the cruise. Maybe it was just our cruise director in the show, for example. I don't know how many times I heard, let's make some noise for it. Let's put our hands together. You know, if people like the act, they'll applaud. But by trying to get them all worked up and encourage, the drinking, everyone hold their drink up. If you don't have a drink, I'm sorry for you, something like that. I think what you're doing is running the risk with the low rates of the cruise, and then getting people all amped out with this kind of party atmosphere. You're running the risk of getting that type of clientele. And you see that when you watch some videos where it starts to get, people fighting and they're raucous crowds and that sort of thing. I did have somebody that threw up in my hallway on the first night of the cruise. And I think that they kind of intentionally encourage that type of, party atmosphere. And I think that the people that really are thinking of Margaritaville and Jimmy Buffett, they have license to chill, right? And that's different than Raise the Roof. You know what I mean? It's just a different type of atmosphere. And I didn't quite see that. It didn't get to that extreme, but it was close. It was walking the tightrope. So be careful of what type of clientele you want to attract with that type of onboard encouragement. That would be the one caveat that I would put out there. Other than that, I thought it was a fun 2 to 3 days, however you want to count that. I had a good time. I enjoyed walking around Nassau. I spent most of my port day on the ship. I went out for a few hours in the morning. I came back and I went out for about a half hour in the afternoon back to the straw market. And then I spent a lot of time on the ship. And by the way, some of the activities they said they had on the ship, they did not have. I went down to the lounge where they said they had a variety of different activities. I wanted to see what they're like. One of them, they had a craft or something. I wanted to see what it was like, and it wasn't going on. So I don't know what that was all about. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. As always, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you here next time on the Average Me channel.